This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, hello, there's Jeff Carter. I'm going to welcome you to another sports catastrophe birthday boy. Now, in my on this day, I said that it was weird how I didn't want to go with an American event on the 4th of July. But you know, what's even more shocking is I nearly didn't have a birthday boy or girl, American or otherwise. I was looking for people. Now, if you know, I tried my best to do like non-dead people, like people who are alive and all that, because it give you like how old they are on this specific day. However, I couldn't find one. However, I did find George Steinbrenner, and I know he's been dead for a while, but I'm like, you know what? The story of George Steinbrenner should be told. So I'm gonna do it. So anyway, George Steinbrenner was only 80 years old when he died. Fuck, that was young. He was born on the 4th of July, 1930, and died July 13, 2010, during the All-Star break. So anyway, he was the owner of the Yankees for 37 years, the longest in club history. The Yankees got 7 World Series titles under his watch. Basically, he was controversial for his outspokenness and his role in driving up player salaries and all that. He was known as the boss, and he would meddle on many occasions to on-field decisions and to hire and fire and sometimes rehire managers. So yeah, he was born in Ohio. He wanted to do naval architecture and all that. So yeah. So he met his wife in 1956 and married her. Had two sons, Hank and Hal, and 2 daughters, Jessica and Jennifer. All that, Hank and Hal were trying to help the Yankees get things going after their father's death. So anyway, he was a graduate assistant to Woody Hayes. And the Buckeyes were the national champions, winning the Rose Bowl. So basically, he would join a few Cleveland shipbuilding groups and all that. The company's gross sales were $100 million. Steinbrenner decided to enter the sports franchise business for the first time with Cleveland in the National Industrial Basketball League and decided to hire a black coach and all that. So yeah. But that league folded and all that. Steinbrenner would invest in some plays and all that, including the 1974 Tony Award nominee for Best Musical, Seesaw. So anyway, the Yankees were in trouble. CBS, yes, that network, actually owned part of the Yankees for many years. They acquired the team in '65. The chairman of CBS told team president Michael Burke that they wanted to sell the club. Paley said he would sell the franchise to Burke if he could find financial backing. And Burke helped brought in Steinbrenner and Gabe Paul to try to buy the Yankees off CBS. Steinbrenner would lead a group of investors in purchasing Yankees from CBS. For years, it was basically $10 million, which isn't a bad amount in today's dollars, but in 1973 dollars, that would have been huge. However, Steinbrenner said that the deal also included 2 parking garages, and CBS actually bought back the parking garages for $1.2 million. Really. So anyway, they announced that Burke would be club president. But he was angry when Gabe Paul was brought in as a senior Yankee executive, so he basically quit the presidency and all that. So Gabe Paul was named president of the Yankees and all that. The boss was not really that keen on things. At the conclusion of the 1973 season, manager Ralph Holt decided to resign and take a spot with manager of the Tigers, and Lee McPhail, who was the GM, decided to become president of the American League. So anyway, Steinbrenner and Gabe Paul would be fighting to hire Dick Williams, who basically left Oakland after Charles Finley's mentally in Oakland. So they couldn't get Dick Williams because he was still under contract to Oakland. So they decided to go with Bill Ferdinand and all that. Steinbrenner was basically known for his rapid turnover management personnel. In his first 23 seasons as boss, he changed managers 20 times, including Billy Martin being hired and fired 5 times. He went through 13 publicity directors, PR directors. Wow. He would employ 11 GMs over 30 years. He was famous for pursuing high price free agents and then basically feuding with them. Billy Martin said about the relationship between Steinbrenner and Reggie Jackson, the two are meant for each other. One's a born liar and the other's convicted. Basically, it resulted in Billy Martin being fired and all that. The weird thing about that 1978 season was that the Yankees came back from 13 games down to beat the Bull Sox for the AL East. Steinbrenner was not too happy. All that. In 1981, when the Yankees were in the midst of losing Game 3 of the World Series to LA, still up 2-1, he had a press conference in his hotel room, and he showed off his left hand in a cast, and many injuries he claimed were earned in a fight with 2 Dodger fans in the hotel elevator, and nobody came forward about the fight. Basically, they thought that he made up the story to light a fire under the Yankees. But basically, the Yankees sucked. They lost the last 3 games in the series. So, anyway. But Steinbrenner had a facial hair policy. Everyone was forbidden to display any facial hair other than mustaches, except for religious reasons. And scalp hair could not be grown below the collar. Basically, long sideburns and button chops would not be specifically banned, but there were some weird things and all that. This happened in 1973 in the home opener against the Indians. That Steinbrenner noticed several players' hair were too long for his standards. He basically wrote down the uniform numbers of the offenders and had the list delivered to manager Hoke. Gossage was supposed to lost a beard, but basically he had a big exaggerated mustache extending down the upper lip to the jawline. However, the most infamous incident about the facial hair policy was 91, even though Steinbrenner was not on the team. He was suspended for what he did, trying to get rid of Dave Winfield. Yankees management ordered Mattingly to get a haircut. Mattingly basically refused and got benched. Mattingly would be reinstated and all that. Coincidentally, this lady's to the Simpsons episode Homer the Bat, which basically Mattingly was a guest star, but Burns told him to shave off his sideburns, and Mattingly did everything. But basically, Burns, I guess, didn't like him. Mattingly says, I like him better than Steinbrenner. Huh. So, anyway, Johnny Damon was known for his Jesus-like beard and shoulder-length hair during his time with the Red Sox. Said that he has to stick with the policy and all that. Anyway, unfortunately, Steinbrenner had issues in his personal life. He had illegal campaign contributions to Nixon. All that. Because he actually made illegal contributions to the re-election campaign for Nixon. Watergate. Faced with a cost overrun with the Commerce Department, Steinbrenner gave 6 employees $25,000, but they wanted them to turn around and give the money to Nixon's committee. Steinbrenner would plead guilty in 1974. He was fined $15,000 and the company was amassed $20,000. Billy Kuhn would suspend him for 15 months. And Ronald Reagan pardoned Steinbrenner before he lost the presidency. Anyway, Steinbrenner in 1980 decided to make a key acquisition. They signed Dave Winfield to a 10-year, $23 million contract. Not per year, but $23 million overall. So the $2.3 million per year. Making Winfield baseball's highest player. However, during the Yankees chase in the '85 season for the AL East title, which the Blue Jays got, he derided Winfield's poor performance, calling Winfield Mr. May instead of Mr. October. Basically, yeah. That wasn't the end of it. In 1990, Steinbrenner was banned permanently from day-to-day management, but not ownership, of the Yankees by MLB Commissioner Fay Vincent for paying a gambler, Howie Spira, $40K to dig up dirt on Winfield. Winfield had sued the Yankees for failing to contribute money to his foundation, which was a stipulation in his contract. So anyway, the managing general partner was Robert Niederlander. All that. Winfield would not forget it, saying that the animosity was why he decided to go to the Hall of Fame as a Padre, not a Yankee. Well, I would have went as a Padre. I mean, he helped San Diego out for many years. He was reinstated in '93, and he didn't really interfere with Yankees baseball operations after that, which was shocking because he used to. He basically left day-to-day baseball matters into Gene Michael and other executives, and basically said that farm system players would develop instead of being traded for established players. And the Yankees were in contention for the AL East in '93 until the Jays closed them up. The Yankees were the best team in the AL East before the players' strike. The Yankees would get to the playoffs in '95 for the first time in 14 years. And then by '96, they won the World Series. They would win titles in '98, '99, 2000, and narrowly had it won in 2001, but they lost Game 7 to Arizona. The Yankees were known for making their playoff runs and all that. Steinbrenner was actually part owner of the New Jersey Devils. I had no clue. But basically, if the Yankees had won the 2003 World Series, it would have been the first time that someone had won two major being owners of two major sports leagues in the same year. I think that was broken in 2004. William Davidson, who was the managing owner of the Tampa Bay Rays and the Detroit Pistons, did that. So anyway, yeah. So Steinbrenner named someone to be his successor in 2005. His son-in-law, Steve Swindle, but unfortunately he and his daughter Jen divorced in 2007. So basically, Hal Steinbrenner was made to be the leader and all that. Steinbrenner would spend a lot of time in Tampa from 2006 onwards and all that. He decided to hand control of the Yankees to his sons Hank and Hal. There were rumors that he was suffering from Alzheimer's and all of that. The Yankees went to great lengths to prevent anyone outside Steinbrenner's family and associates from speaking to him or getting a glimpse of him. Steinbrenner did make an appearance in the Bronx on the field for the All-Star game in 2008. Yeah, basically had to use a wheelchair and all that. You know, Steinbrenner was the first owner of a baseball team to sell cable rights to the MSG network. However, during the morning of the 2010 All-Star game, Steinbrenner died of a heart attack in Tampa. It came 9 days after his 80th birthday and 2 days after the death of Bob Shepard, who was the longtime Yankee Stadium PA announcer. And 8 days before Ralph Hoke died. So basically, yeah, it was shocking and all that. Steinbrenner would get a monument at Monument Park in September 2010. You know, he was an intense boss and all that. So yeah, he was a domineering boss and all that. There were only 3 Yankee employees who were continuously employed from Steinbrenner's ownership to the end, and that was Gene Monahan. One of them was Gene Monahan, the head trainer. He was known for his charity and in the media. He was in a lot of things. Steinbrenner would poke fun of himself in the media. He and Billy Martin were in a Miller Lite beer commercial. Steinbrenner tells Martin, "You're fired." "Oh no, not again." And then Reba, "You're hired." "Oh no, not again." So he actually hosted Saturday Night Live October 1990 on the same day as Lou Piniella, his former Yankee manager, helped the Reds win the World Series. In nobody's sketch, he dreamt of the Yankees team managed, coached, and entirely played by himself. And he would chew out the SNL writing staff, all that. He was even in The Scout, the Albert Brooks movie. Anything. Steinbrenner was a fan of pro wrestling. He actually wrote the foreword of the Dusty Rhodes autobiography in 2005 and would see matches at the Tampa Armory. And he was even in the front row of a Saturday Night Main Event thing in 1989, even interacting with Bobby the Brain Heenan. All that. At WrestleMania 7, Steinbrenner, Vince McMahon, Paul McGuire filmed a skit debating instant replay. All that. But one of the biggest things was that Seinfeld characterized him with Larry David playing him and all that. A couple of big players would actually portray the character, but Larry David would do the voiceover. Steinbrenner's full face was never shown. That's funny and all that. Seinfeld liked to talk about Steinbrenner and all that. There was one episode called The Wink, in which Steinbrenner talks about all the people he fired, saying Billy Martin 4 times, and then Buck Showalter, and then says, "Oops, keep that quiet, Costanza." Funny thing is, 2 weeks after the episode aired, the Yankees decided to part ways with Showalter, kind of because Showalter's managing style sucked in Game 5 of the ALDS against the Mariners. That was in 95. So, anyway, all that. Steinbrenner actually was going to be in the season 7 finale, The Invitations, but basically the time of the episode ran longer than allowed, so they were edited out. Anyway, kind of weird, don't you think? But yeah, Steinbrenner was on Seinfeld, for all you Seinfeld lovers out there. Was he master of his domain? Damn right he was. And not that master of his domain. He was master of the Yankees. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.